Hello there. Welcome to another fountain pen review. Today we're going to be reviewing the Pilot Metropolitan Retro Pop Collection. Now this is Pilot Metropolitan, which is common. Everybody knows it. It's a well-loved beginner pen. This I got at my local Staples. Now I've seen reviews of the standard Metropolitan, and they show a box, a nice box with a little magnetic flap on it and stuff like that. But I have no idea whether the Metropolitan Retro Pop comes that way. This box came from my local Staples, and I have no idea whether Pilot did something a little different for Staples or what the deal was, but it comes in this little clear plastic blister box, or whatever you want to call it. You just open it up. It comes like this with two black ink cartridges. Now, in regards to the other box that I was talking about, that's a standard Pilot, all the reviews on YouTube have shown that's nice for like presentation or something. If I was buying the pen for someone else and I wanted to present it to them, a box is always nice. But all the boxes for most pens ever do is just pile up on my desk, and then I gotta find a place to put them, because my pens will never go back in those boxes, and usually I end up chucking them because I don't need them. They take up space. So this kind of packaging and presentation doesn't bother me one single bit. But this is from my local Staples. It was $20 at my local Staples, and we're going to go ahead and take it out. It comes with two, if I can get it out, it comes with two proprietary, I cannot speak today, ink cartridges. Both look to be black, from Pilot. That probably will never be used by me. And it also comes with Pilot's aerometric converter. We'll talk a bit about this again later. The feet is plastic. The nib is a fine. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it just says Pilot F, and it looks like it's got a bit of everything in there is laser etched and got a bit of a design on the nib, but otherwise stainless steel nib. And I got the orange color, which I don't have that color, and I like the look of it. It's almost a gold. It's akin to a gold, but it's an orange. So let's look at the pen. The cap is a clip on. It pops on, pops off. Fairly solid click. The top of the cap, there's nothing there, nor the bottom. It's just a round cigar or torpedo shape. This I would call more cigar shape. Stainless steel, or not stainless steel, chrome clip that's fairly stiff. It's got a little, it says Pilot Japan on the back there, and then Japan, if you can see it, on one side of the clip there. Pilot on the other. The just got a little bit of a ring there, and then I would think that that is a plastic sleeve that slips over, but it's got I don't know what kind of designs, diamonds, and something else there. You can tell me what you think that is on the ring there, but it's a really nice modern matte finish. It has a bit of a quite a bit of a step here that might bother some people. It depends on how I hold it. Sometimes I hold the pen a little higher, and sometimes I hold it a little lower. So it depends on how I hold the pen, whether that'll be an issue for me. And I am relearning to write with a fountain pen instead of a ballpoint pen. So I'm learning to relax my grip and learning to write lighter so that I'm not squeezing up on that section anyway, that step down. And it's not really, I dropped the cap. It's not really an issue for me. But the feed, plastic section, the body is metal, I would guess aluminum. It caps pretty darn securely. It's a really good diameter, the barrel. I don't know for sure what the dimensions are. If I could find my calipers, let me look real quick. I don't know if they are in here or not. No, they're in the other room. But it tapers from here back, but I find that the barrel and all make it a really good size in my hand. If you look at it, you could definitely use this pen with no problem uncapped if that's what you prefer. When you cap it, it's a substantial size pen, and it's just lovely in my opinion for $20 that I paid. Now you can say, well, you could go to not X fountain pens, but Jet pens or Goulet or any number of places and get it for $13.50 or $14.50. But look, you know, if I went to Jet pens, I'd have to spend $25 in order to get free shipping. So I'm going to pay I'm going to pay shipping to get it to me, or I'm going to buy something else, increase my cost. Either way, my costs have increased. So it made sense to me to just grab it at Staples for 20 bucks. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So, but it's a lovely pen. I think I'm going to like it. It's a fine nib, which I like the medium for the way that it shows off the flow of ink and the characteristics of colors of ink and stuff like that. But I'm a preacher and a Sunday school teacher, and I do a lot of notations in my Bible and things of that nature, and the finer lines really do lend themselves to that kind of work. So I like the fines as well. And this is a Japanese fine, so it's probably going to be like an X fine, you know, with European pens or American pens, the Schaeffers or whatnot, the vintage pens, that kind of deal. But either way, it's a lovely pen. It looks well built. Like I say, it comes with an aerometric converter. Now, a lot of people, and it's a squeeze converter. Works, in my opinion, really very much like a lever fill, the old lever fills. And a lot of people don't like the aerometric converters because from what I read, they don't draw a lot of ink up into the converter. But I don't anticipate a whole lot of problems. I'm not writing 40 or 50 pages at a time. So for what I do, I don't anticipate any problems with the aerometric. I may in the future get the Con 50 converter that fits this pen, or it may not. It just depends, you know, how the aerometric serves me, and I think it'll probably do just fine. So that's the review. The Pilot Metropolitan Retro Pop. It's a nice little starter pen. These pens, the Metropolitans, are loved by a boatload of fountain pen users, and to me, do I like fine pens? Sure I do. But I like pens. I like nice pens, pens that write well and that are reliable. And everything that I've read and seen online, on the internet, or anywhere else, there's nothing but good things to say about the quality of these pens and their reliability. So I look for it's actually a bit heavier. The one that I would compare this to, because the design of the body and the finish and all is really similar, is the Schaefer VFM, Vibrant Fun Modern. The finish on the Schaefer is a bit more satin than matte, like this, but the overall shape is clearly similar, although I believe this pen is a bit fatter. And but the Schaefer is lighter. This is a more heavy pen. Some people might find it approaching heavy that they don't like, too heavy or whatever. But for me, I think it's got a good weight. It makes it feel good and solid in my hand, and well built. And so to me, that's a plus. So, all right. Once again, Pilot Metropolitan Retro Pop in orange, fine nib. And I'll come back with a review, a writing sample for this pen. All right, God bless you. Thank you. All right, hello there. This is the writing portion of the review of the Pilot Metropolitan Retro Pop orange, but this is also going to be a review of Pelikan brown ink. Now I'll post this with the pen review, and then there will be a separate post that's just this portion of it, because the thing with it is I looked through, I don't have a lot of inks, but I have a lot of ink samples that Lady Onogaro off of Fountain Pen Geeks picked me a while back, and I'm going through them to see what I like and reviewing them as well. But I only have, you see the tiny bit of sample that I've got there. So if I put this in this pen, then I won't get a chance to do a review if I want to do it separate. So I'm going to combine the two here. But if you look at it, in my opinion, the Pelikan brown has got almost an orange hue or reddish hue to it. If you look there, I don't know what it's going to look like in a pen. But now we're going to go ahead and fill this up. And if I can't get this aerometric converter to pull up enough ink, then what I'm going to do is use this syringe and just simply fill the converter with that. As a matter of fact, I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that, because it is so small. That's pretty much every last drop. And let's see. Let's go ahead and fill as much as we can. This converter. Put that in the sink where it won't make any mess. And I believe, let me go get my little ink cloth. clean this ink off of my hands as much as possible. A little bit of water. Excuse me, but I flushed my syringe really quickly. Now this pen might or might not start up immediately because of the way that I filled it. I didn't really dip the nib in the ink. We shall see. If not, I'll give it a little bit of scribble or whatever it needs to get it started. So this is the fine. Okay. I see now. Going to need a tiny bit of persuasion. That's a lot more than I meant. But anyway, alright, that's lovely. That's a lovely, lovely color. This is the Pilot Metropolitan Retro Pop in orange. It has a fine nib. The ink is platinum. I'm sorry, is it platinum? Pelikan. Brown. And the paper is just standard 20-pound copy. Lovely ink. First of all, let's look at the pen, and then we'll go back to the ink. Nice fine line, but beautiful. This ink, in my eye, still shows a bit of shading with a fine nib. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera or not, but it most certainly does. Let's do some writing. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. Lovely. No skips, no railroading, no nothing. Just a nice, even, beautiful line. Like I said, I can still see a bit of shading in the ink. That's lovely. A medium nib would probably be even better. Let's look at the flow of the nib and the feed. That's maybe medium wetness on the ink, but the nib flows really well. Let's try some fast writing. Wonderful. No skips or jumps, nothing like that. That G I left open, that's my writing, it's not the pen. Beautiful. Now, I don't know. Look at that. That's lovely. I don't do any of the flex writing because I don't know how. So it would not be useful for me to even try. I'm still a beginner, and to be honest with you, if I were to get into something with a bit of flex, then I'd get into trying to learn calligraphy and buy the proper pens for that. So, my opinion. But it's just lovely. The nib is just a bit on the scratchy side on this paper. But if let's pull out the Tomo River and let's see. still a bit scratchy, but not anywhere near what it is on that 20-pound copy. Just a beautiful writing pen. I see why people like this pen. To me, it writes similar to the Lamy Safari. That's about the same. I hear people all the time talking about how smooth the Safari nib is. To me, it's not super smooth, but it's a good writing nib with just a little bit of either scratch or the paper that you're using is giving feedback or whatever, however you want to call it, but not bad at all. Really nice daily kind of writer, and I would put this in the same league as far as the way that it writes. Nice and clean, nice and even, no problems with flow of ink or any such thing. And if you look, let's look at the ink now. Okay, first of all, we know, once again, well, that time it wasn't too bad. But let's, alright, this paper is absorbing it a lot more than it did here, but I would still call this a fairly wet, medium wet ink. Beautiful. What I was looking for with this ink, I was looking for something that had sort of a reddish or orange type tint to the brown to go with this pen, and I found it. This is a lovely orange brown ink. It flows really well. There's no, in this pen, there's no skipping, jumping, carrying on of any kind. This is on 20-pound copy paper. If you look at the difference on the 20-pound copy and then on the Tomoe River, the shading and the coloring is a bit different on the Tomoe River. It's much brighter and darker on this copy paper, and what I would think is that is how this paper is absorbing the ink. It's probably sucking the ink in a whole lot more than the Tomoe River paper, which is a really light paper, but it's incredibly fountain pen friendly, doesn't bleed or carry on or anything like that, and so you're getting a more even lay of the ink without a lot of absorption in the paper from the Tomoe River paper. But it's just a lovely colored ink no matter how you look at it or which paper you use. One of the other reasons I can tell the difference in these two papers is if you look at the fineness of the line, this is a lot less fine than this, which means that this is sucking up and probably feathering or ghosting, or however you want to call it. Well, ghosting I think is the other side of the paper. So this is probably feathering a bit, but not noticeable to the eye, whereas this is not. But it's just a lovely ink. If you're looking for a brownish orange ink, because I've got Chesterfield's Antique Copper, which is, I think people say it's the same as diamine or diamine or however you want to pronounce it. It's ancient copper, and it's a brown that's kind of on this side, but this to me is a brighter, cleaner or fresher kind of look than the antique copper is. Antique copper is one of my favorite inks, by the way, but this is just lovely, and I could see it being a favorite of mine as well. It works really well in this pen, and the thing of it is this is a fine nib, so I would say in a medium it would probably work just as well. If you can get good flow, in my experience, which is limited to a year and a half, 2 years with a fountain pen at the most. If you can get really good flow with a fine nib, especially a Japanese fine like this, without any skips or railroading or anything of the kind, then when you turn to medium and broad nibs or any of the fine American or European type pens, the old antique pens and all of that, the vintage pens, it's going to flow really well in those as well, most likely. It's just a lovely ink. If you're interested in brownish orange or orange brown type ink with a good bit of shading and stuff in it, I think this is a really nice ink. So thank you for watching, and this is, wow, I was laying, look here, cheap copy paper. Piece of the paper stuck, piece of the fiber of the paper stuck to the nib. Look what it did. So this is the end. That's what you get when you use cheap paper, folks. Alright. God bless you. Later.